January 15, 1943. Paris, France. The city is suffocating. The cobblestone streets are slick with rain, the sharp scent of wet stone and cigarette smoke hanging in the air. The wind whispers through narrow alleys, carrying with it the metallic taste of fear that lingers everywhere. The hum of a distant trolley car is drowned by the silence that has become Paris's constant companion. Somewhere, behind closed doors and hidden in plain sight, a young woman watches. Claire Dufresne is 23, though she's lived much older, her face etched with an expression too mature for someone so young. Her fingers, delicate and calloused, trace the edge of a piece of paper, worn from the countless hands it's passed through. A letter, one among many, carries the weight of lives. She is no fighter. No soldier. She hasn't trained with a rifle, nor held the map of battlefields in her hands. But the war does not care for the untrained. It only demands courage from those who are willing to give it. And Claire is willing. Her footsteps echo softly in the hallways of her apartment, quiet enough to avoid drawing attention. The Nazi soldiers, with their boots that strike the ground like thunder, are never far. Claire breathes slowly. She is not afraid, not exactly. The city's breathless stillness has become a familiar cloak, a shroud that hides the ever-present danger. Each day she walks this fine line, balancing between loyalty to her country and survival. But today feels different. Today, a letter arrives, unlike the others. It is marked with the seal of the resistance. This will be the beginning. In the heart of Nazi-occupied Paris, every movement, every whisper, is weighed, watched. The Germans control the streets, the stores, the lives of everyone. They fill the air with their propaganda, their speeches, their promises of order. They drain the city of its soul. Paris, once the city of light, now casts shadows of despair. Yet in the stillness of these darkened streets, Claire does not bend to the weight of oppression. She is too young, too ordinary, too unremarkable. There is nothing about her that screams defiance. Nothing that says hero. In fact, it's her silence, her invisibility, that makes her the perfect weapon in this quiet war. They will never see her coming. She works for the German Postal Service, her position an unremarkable one. No one suspects the young woman with the thin lips and dark eyes, eyes that betray nothing but a sense of duty. And yet, within the walls of her cubicle, beneath the monotonous shuffle of mail and paperwork, Claire becomes something else. Her hands, those hands that once held a brush to paint pictures of a Paris that no longer exists, now carry secrets. Hidden codes, messages in invisible ink, blueprints that could change the war's course, all passed through her fingers as if they were nothing more than ordinary letters. A slip of paper with a few innocuous words can carry life or death for someone on the other side of the city. A false name, a coded address, these are the weapons she wields. She smuggles documents into the hands of the resistance, and in turn, they give her one more document to carry, one that will turn the tide. She is just one link in an invisible chain, but for this moment, she matters. This mission, this seemingly simple task, will push Claire past the point of no return. March 10, 1943. The safe house is a small, cramped room filled with the scent of burning wax and stale coffee. Claire stands at a window, watching the streets below, her breath fogging up the glass. She's just passed the letter, but something feels wrong. Too much silence. Too many eyes watching. A quiet tension hangs in the air. The letter was simple, deliver the code. But when Claire passed it off to the resistance, she felt the weight of what she had just done. She wasn't naive. She knew the risk. The slightest mistake, the smallest slip-up, and she would be found out. The Germans had spies everywhere, even within the French underground. And yet, the urgency was too great. She holds her breath. Her ears strain for the sound of boots. The mail that leaves her hands could spell disaster if intercepted. But there is no turning back now. Claire moves swiftly through the narrow alleyways, blending into the shadows. Every footstep, every glance over her shoulder feels magnified. She can hear her own heartbeat, thudding in her chest like a drum. The clock is ticking. And then it happens. The resistance network is compromised. A trusted informant, a friend, has betrayed them. The Gestapo knows. Claire's world tilts. The weight of this betrayal crashes over her. She has been a part of it, the very network that is now unraveling. The small chain of which she was only one link is snapping, piece by piece. The danger has escalated. She is no longer safe. The night comes alive with the crackle of the radio. Claire listens from her apartment, pressing her ear to the old, battered device. The voices of the resistance are desperate. Their network has been breached. Every safe house, every hideout is compromised. The Allies are coming, but Claire has no way of knowing if she'll make it out alive. A decision. She must make a choice. Will she continue to live in the shadows, her sacrifices unnoticed? Or will she risk everything to become the heart of a new plan? With her hands trembling, Claire writes one final message. She knows it may be her last act of defiance. She delivers it, though she doesn't know whether it will reach the right people in time. The fate of thousands hangs on a single, silent word. May 5, 1945. The city is free. The Germans are gone. But Claire's story remains buried beneath the weight of history. The celebrations are loud and full of life. Paris is free. But in the quiet corners, in the rooms where the true heroes hide, Claire Dufresne's name is never spoken. Her sacrifice remains unknown. The records don't speak of her bravery. The men who were around her, whose lives she saved, stand tall. They are hailed as the heroes. But Claire? She is forgotten. Her story fades into the shadows, like the city she once saved. A whisper. A footnote in a war that she helped turn. In the end, it is not the war that is forgotten. It is the people like Claire, silent, brave, and too humble to ask for recognition, who fade away. The cost of history is always too high. For every victory, someone is left behind. Someone whose story never makes it to the pages of history. How many more like Claire have we forgotten? How many more will fade into the shadows of time? And so, we ask, what is the true price of courage, if we never remember those who paid it? March 10, 1943. A makeshift safe house, Paris, France. The door creaks as it closes behind Claire, its sound too loud in the tense silence of the room. She moves quickly, silently, her heart pounding in her chest. The room is dim, lit only by the flickering light of a small candle burning on a wooden table. The air smells faintly of old paper, ink, and a scent Claire has come to associate with danger, dust. Dust of places unseen, secrets stored in forgotten corners. This is no longer just a game of survival. This is war, in its purest form, intelligence, deception, risk. The stakes have risen. Claire is no longer just a messenger. She has become a crucial part of a network, one that stretches far beyond the French resistance. She holds the weight of lives in her hands. And now, as she takes her place among these shadows, the reality of the task at hand hits her with full force. She moves to the corner, where a small stack of letters sits on a table, their faded edges worn from countless hands. They are just ordinary letters, at least, they appear so. But to Claire, they are anything but. Each one contains coded messages, instructions that could shift the balance of power in this war. Some contain vital troop movements, others the locations of key German officials. And Claire knows this well. She has learned how to read these hidden messages, how to understand the invisible thread of resistance that binds them all together. She's only 23, yet she carries knowledge far beyond her years, an intimate understanding of life in the shadows, of the small acts of defiance that no one will ever hear about. No one but the few who dare to risk everything to fight back. The plan is simple, get the letters to the right hands. But it is never that simple. Claire is part of a chain that extends across the city, a network of resistance fighters working in the shadows, careful not to make a sound. She knows that every letter, every message, could be the one that unravels everything. The network is not invulnerable. There are informants everywhere, men and women who have betrayed their own for promises of safety. Claire has no illusions. One wrong move, one slip-up, and everything will come crashing down. In the heart of the German occupation, the stakes have never been higher. With every passing day, the Germans tighten their grip on Paris. Streets once bustling with life are now filled with silent, wary people. The air is thick with suspicion, the shadows filled with danger. Yet even in the suffocating grip of Nazi rule, resistance persists. It is quieter now, hidden beneath layers of secrecy, but it has never ceased. Claire knows she is a part of something bigger than herself, a part of something that cannot afford to fail. She has no formal training. No military background. No weapons. She is a civilian, a young woman who once painted landscapes and sketched the streets of Paris. But now, with each passing day, she becomes something more. Her position within the German-controlled postal service is a small victory in itself. No one suspects the young woman with the tired eyes, the one who moves so quietly through the corridors. It is in these moments, when no one is looking, that Claire makes her real contribution to the war effort. She uses her access to the German military communications to smuggle vital intelligence under the radar. What appears to be simple correspondence is actually a web of resistance. It is a delicate balancing act, her every move, her every word weighed carefully. She has no allies in the open. There is no one to help her. Every day, the line between life and death grows thinner. Every night, she wonders if she will see the dawn. Claire breathes deeply, steadying herself. It is time. She reaches for the envelope on the table, just another letter, she tells herself. But it isn't. Not anymore. It holds the information that could change the course of the war. A list of German officers and their locations, a map of military strongholds, this information could make all the difference. The letter will find its way into the hands of someone who can use it. The Allies are waiting, and they have to be prepared. But as Claire prepares to slip out of the safe house, her fingers freeze. Something is wrong. The silence is too thick, the air too still. She moves to the window, pressing her ear to the cold glass. Outside, the streets seem empty, too empty. There should be soldiers, there should be civilians. But all she hears is the quiet hum of distant traffic and the faint rustle of leaves in the wind. It's then she hears it, a distant sound, almost imperceptible at first. The echo of boots. Then, a low murmur. Her stomach tightens. The Gestapo. She has been followed. She curses herself silently, but there is no time for regret. The mission must continue. In a flash, she grabs the envelope and slips it into her coat pocket, the fabric scratching against her fingers. She moves quickly now, her footsteps quick but deliberate. Every sound, every shift in the shadows, makes her heart race. She knows she cannot afford to be caught. Her life is at stake, and so is the success of the mission. She exits the building and slips into the alleyway, her breath shallow. The cold air cuts through her like a blade. The city is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Claire's mind is racing as she moves deeper into the maze of streets. But just as the tension reaches its peak, she hears a voice. A soft whisper. The sound of a German officer, too close for comfort. She pauses, hiding behind a corner, holding her breath. The officer passes, oblivious. Claire exhales a quiet sigh of relief, but she knows this close call means the game has changed. The stakes are higher now, the risks greater. The next day, the news comes. The operation has failed. A critical part of the network has been compromised. Someone in the resistance has betrayed them. Claire's heart sinks. She knows the consequences. The mission has failed, and now the Gestapo is on the move, hunting down the fighters, trying to root out the last vestiges of resistance. But this is not the end for Claire. She has become a central figure in the fight now. Her role has grown from messenger to key player. The mission is no longer about the documents, it's about survival. But Claire is no longer just surviving. She is fighting back, with every fiber of her being. And when the moment comes, she will make her choice. The choice that could either save the lives of thousands or condemn them all. May 5, 1945. The war has ended. Paris is free. The streets are alive with the sounds of celebration, but Claire is nowhere to be found. Her story has been forgotten. The names of the men who fought beside her, men who didn't even know her full name, are shouted from the rooftops, their bravery honored in the press. But Claire Dufresne remains a shadow, a name lost to time. The world celebrates, but Claire is not there. She is not remembered. And in the silence of her erasure, a question lingers. How many more like her were left behind, their courage swallowed by history's blind spots? How many names will never be spoken again? And yet, even in their silence, their courage remains, undefeated, unnoticed, but forever a part of the war's hidden victory. May 5, 1945. Paris, France. The streets of Paris are alive with the sounds of celebration. The city hums with music, laughter, and the shouts of the free. Flags hang from windows, fluttering in the spring air, and the scent of fresh flowers mixes with the smoky remnants of war. The once crumbling walls of the city seem to rise anew, kissed by the promise of peace. Yet, amid the revelry, Claire Dufresne walks unseen. She is a shadow, a quiet presence in the crowd. No one notices her as she moves through the city she once fought for, her face hidden behind the veil of forgotten heroism. The war is over, but the fight has not ended for Claire. She is free, in a sense, but she is also invisible. The recognition she deserves, the accolades for her sacrifices, are absent. The men who fought beside her, the ones whose lives she saved, are celebrated in speeches, their names etched in the annals of history. But Claire. She remains in the shadows, her contributions buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and political maneuvering. The irony is not lost on her. She fought, bled, and risked everything for the freedom of her people, for the very city that now sings its praises. And yet, as she walks the streets, her name is never mentioned. She is not part of the story. Not the public one, anyway. As the city celebrates, Claire retreats into the quiet corners of Paris, the places where the stories of true heroes are left untold. She wanders the streets she once knew so well, the streets where, just months ago, she smuggled letters of life and death under the noses of the German occupiers. She knows, better than anyone, the cost of this victory. It is not just the lives lost, but the lives that were never truly acknowledged. In the cafes, in the town squares, people cheer. They speak of the men who stormed the beaches, the soldiers who liberated Paris, the leaders who orchestrated the war's end. These are the names that will be remembered, the faces that will appear on the pages of history books. But what of the women like Claire, the ones who fought silently, without fanfare? What of those who were never given the chance to stand before the crowd, to be hailed as heroes? Claire sits in a small cafe, sipping her coffee, her eyes distant. She watches the celebrations, the revelers dancing in the streets, and for a moment, she allows herself to feel the weight of it all. The war is over. The world is moving on. And she is left behind. She takes a deep breath and stands, ready to disappear again into the forgotten corners of history. She knows she has no choice. She will not be remembered. It is not in her nature to seek the limelight. But the silence that surrounds her feels like a betrayal. Over the next few days, the government issues proclamations, awards are given, and ceremonies are held. The resistance is honored, the names of the men who fought beside Claire, men who did not know the full extent of her sacrifice, are immortalized in speeches. They are hailed as the brave souls who gave everything for France, and their names will live on in the history of the war. But not Claire's. She watches from the shadows as the stories unfold in newspapers and on radio broadcasts. Her heart sinks with each word, each name that is announced. She did everything she could. She risked her life, her future, her freedom for this moment of victory. But her sacrifice will be forgotten. She knows that, for some, it will be as though she was never even there. She walks the streets, a spectator to history. She catches glimpses of the heroes of the war, their faces proud, their chests decorated with medals. Their stories are being told in books and films, their bravery etched into the collective memory of the world. But Claire. She is lost in the pages that will never be written about her. She thinks of the people she saved, the resistance fighters who are now free to live their lives because of the risk she took. She thinks of the letters she delivered, the information she passed along in the dark corners of the city, the moments when the weight of a single document could change the course of a battle. She thinks of the risks, the close calls, the times when her life hung by a thread. But none of that matters now. She is a forgotten hero. One evening, Claire meets an old friend, a man she once worked alongside in the resistance. He is one of the lucky ones, a man whose bravery has been recognized, whose name will be remembered. He greets her warmly, but there is a hesitation in his eyes. He is grateful for her help, of course, but he does not know her full story. He does not know what she sacrificed. He does not know the extent of her bravery. "You did your part," he says, his voice filled with the weight of unwitting dismissal. "We all did. But now it's time to move on. The world needs us to rebuild." Claire nods, smiling softly. But inside, a storm is brewing. She has done her part. But the cost of her silence is too high. The world will move on, but she will remain forgotten. She will fade into the background, like so many others whose courage was never recognized. Her name will never be written in the history books. She will not be remembered in the speeches, the films, or the documentaries that will be made in the years to come. She will remain a footnote, a name lost to the tides of time. And yet, she is not angry. She is simply resigned. This is the price of resistance. This is the price of anonymity. Years pass, and Paris begins to rebuild itself. The scars of war slowly fade, but Claire remains in the shadows, a silent witness to the passage of time. The city she fought to save is now thriving once again, but her contribution remains unnoticed. The world has moved on, and Claire Dufresne is left behind. In the quiet corners of history, her name is a whisper. A memory that will never be fully realized. And yet, even in her erasure, Claire's courage remains. It is not written in books or shouted from the rooftops, but it is there, woven into the very fabric of the victories she helped secure. And so, we ask, how many more like Claire have faded into the shadows, their bravery lost to time? How many names will never be spoken again? The truth is, history is full of forgotten heroes. Their names may not be remembered, but their courage, that can never be erased.